Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Goodman, Director of Marketing and Development for the YMCA of Northwest Louisiana. We're here at 318 Latino Studios for Shreveport-Bossier, my city, my community, my home. And you're going to learn all kinds of valuable information today. Our guest is Tamara Crane.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, Tamara. Good to have you.
Yes, this is awesome. So I love their studio here.
It's great. When Ellen and I first started this like 3 years ago, it was on my iPhone in the conference room at the Y. So we've definitely moved on up.
Look how far y'all have come.
I know, seriously. Well, thanks for being here. I'm gonna hop in on all things Tamara. If I get anything wrong, please correct me.
Okay.
But for the last 15 years, you've served as the executive director of the Bossier Council on Aging, one of the critical nonprofits in our community. My first question for you is just, I know you do all kind of things, but talk to me about just select maybe 2 to 3 of your key services and programs.
So I would say I'm going to say 3 because our 2 largest as far as funding or expenses is going to be our home delivered meals, which a lot of people call Meals on Wheels, but it's federally home delivered meals, and our transportation programs. Those are the ones that take up the most funding, that truly serve some of those highest needs. Getting a meal to a senior, facing that food insecurity, whether it be in their home, if they're homebound and don't have support or able to do that, or at our senior centers. And that's our other third component that I think is a really high value, is the senior centers across the parish, where those seniors can come, fellowship, play games, it's always bingo, but also, different things like beanbag baseball. We have yoga, just different things like that. All kinds of stuff happens at the senior centers.
And these are basically senior community centers based on my understanding. And there's 3 located in Bossier Parish. There's one in Bossier itself, and then there's one in Benton and one in Houghton. Is that right?
That's correct. And how you just said that is so good. It's like a senior rec center. So many people might come by and go, oh, well, you're like a daycare and stuff. Well, we're not, because there are some senior daycares in our area. They do medical care. They may have a nurse that does medicines, that kind of stuff like that. We're not that. Our seniors are independent. We do have some seniors that may have a little more disabilities or need a little more help with some physical things. But overall, they're independent. They come, they hang out, they see their friends, they do fun stuff, and then they go home at the end of the day.
And then the transportation aspect, and fill in any gaps, but my understanding of the transportation aspect, it's everything from you'll take seniors to medical appointments, you'll take seniors grocery shopping, you'll take seniors from their home to these community centers. What are other aspects of the transportation piece that I maybe missed?
So you really hit the nail on the head with that. So that is exactly what we do with transportation. The main thing to know is that all of our buses are handicap accessible, whether it's our minivans or our bigger buses, they're all handicap accessible. We get our buses through Louisiana Department of Transportation via 5310 grant. And with that 5310 grant, it is also elderly and disabled. So we also do Medicaid transportation. We are one of the largest transportation providers in Bossier Parish that works with Medicaid. And so that could be anybody on Medicaid. I've had, a mom and her child, because the child was going to therapy, and picking them up. So then you also have your senior who's going to a doctor's appointment too. So we do that component as well. With grocery shopping, it is in any town. So we cover Plain Dealing for grocery shopping, Houghton, Benton, and Bossier, like you said. We have a schedule of what we do with that. So if you live within the town limits, we can pick you up. We have a set schedule for taking you grocery shopping. But the neat thing about what we kind of say is medical transportation, we really identified some other needs that were out there. So some of our seniors would call, and we haven't been able to fit all of these needs, but they would call and go, well, I need to go to the pharmacy after I go to the doctor, or I need to go by the bank, or what if I need Social Security? Now, we haven't been able to fit in going to the beauty shop yet, and we don't go to the casino, but we have filled where we can fill some of those other gaps. So for the transportation like that, it's only $5 a stop. So if someone does go to the doctor and then maybe need to go to the pharmacy or the bank and then the pharmacy, that's just $5 each way. So we could get you to the doctor, the bank, the pharmacy, and then home for $20. And for someone who might live in Plain Dealing and have to go to a doctor in Shreveport and then hit the bank and the pharmacy in Bossier, $20 is nothing to do all that.
Yeah, it's so important what you guys are doing. Your philosophy at the council is that senior citizens should live independently with dignity for as long as possible. So my next question for you is just guide us a little bit. What are some proactive things seniors can do to prolong an independent quality of life?
So basically being active and engaged. And I think that's the main part of what the Council on Aging is really promoting. Sometimes some of our seniors are hesitant to get involved with the Council on Aging because they're like, oh, well, you're just going to try to send me to the nursing home. Or maybe the family contacts us and then the senior themselves is resistive. But that's not the case. What we're doing is trying to help them stay at home, whether it's through getting them to the doctor's appointments, getting medical care so you're not constantly in a hospital or going to a rehab facility, whether it's getting them to the grocery store so they can get their nutrition, getting them to these other things, getting them homemaker assistance. That's one of our other services to help them maintain their home. Yeah. So homemaker it's to help maintain a home because there may be some seniors who don't have anyone who can help them and through whatever's going on medically, not be able to help to keep their home maintained. So we do provide homemaker assistance. It's 2 hours every other week, and that is a contribution-based program. So the suggested contribution is $10 for 2 hours of homemaker, and trust me, my housekeeper, I have to pay her a lot more than that.
Sure.
So, but that's a really good support for that because sometimes those seniors do just need that extra help of getting the vacuuming done, the bathroom cleaning done, that kind of thing. And then we also have that caregiver support, and that's really where sometimes that when someone is to the point where they need that caregiver help, that means there's always already a family member possibly coming in, helping them with different things, whether it be actual help with bathing, toileting, dressing, or it's just light stuff like they're doing the shopping, they're doing the medication management, that kind of thing. We actually contract with a company and they can come in and they do 4 hours every 2 weeks and they can help with those kind of things, help bathe, help light meal prep, help if they even need to go have them run to the store and pick up shopping and stuff, they can do that as well.
Just some support and reinforcement for the caregivers and to give them a break and to...
Correct. It's a respite program.
Yeah.
And that way the caregiver, whether it's that I had one gentleman, Jeffrey, he just needed to go fishing because he was his primary wife's caregiver. And he's like, I just need to be able to go and just recharge. And last time I took her on the boat, she almost fell out. She scared off all the fish and I didn't get nothing done. And I came back more stressed out. So something like that, or truly to just kind of help that other caregiver. Maybe they need to go to the doctor or something. Yeah,
I remember, I don't remember the exact stat, but a long time ago we had Laura Gaucher on from the Bridge. And she shared a stat that I feel like it was more than half the time the caregiver passes away before the person they're caring for just because of all the burden and all the stress and just all the difficulties associated with being a primary caregiver for someone without any support.
And that's true. And Laura is an amazing person. She's on my board. That's how amazing she is. But it's true because I have a son with special needs and I am very lucky that we have caregivers in place for him because one, I couldn't work, but two, you can get so wrapped up involved in taking care of that person's needs because they can be a lot. And whether it be that you're trying to get them to their doctor and trying to make sure this is done and this is done. And you sometimes caregivers tend to self-neglect and you hear the term burnout or whatever. And that's where the Council on Aging really comes into play is, have a senior center. And I had another couple, very different couple. The man was on the boat fishing with his wife and he would bring his wife to the council. And they were married for 75 years in their 90s. And he was just like, okay, we're here. She's yours now. And she was still so energetic and going everything. Sadly, she did have some dementia, but physically it was not taking her down. She literally danced the mayor of Benton's out of his boots. One day we had a music going up there, but he just needed that couple of hours at the senior center to just go, okay, I'm here with her, but she's doing this and everything. So the senior centers play such an important role in that part too.
Absolutely.
So the caregiver support on that. And the other neat thing too is when people get into the caregiver side, sometimes people are hesitant on that. Well, I don't really take care of them. And we have to sometimes let people know, well, you are taking care of them. Maybe you don't see it because you just stop by or you're just dropping the groceries off. But you're caregiving. That is a role of caregiving. There's supports that come in the means of like supplies. We get stuff donated a lot, whether it's incontinence supplies like pull-ups or wipes, gloves, nutritional drinks, medical equipment like walkers, wheelchairs, shower chairs, benches, things like that. When someone is identified and in our system as a caregiver, they're qualifying to get those extra supplies, and that's outside the normal things of like a fan or a blanket that just any client could get. So we really want to identify that and help them with those services.
Yeah, invaluable. All right, well, I'm going to shift gears with you for a second. We were talking a little bit before we started about this, but you and I have both been very involved with LSUS's Institute for Nonprofit Administration and Research, or INAR, as most people know it. You participated, I think, in at least 2 of INAR's cohorts, first as a mentee, then as a mentor. And so my question simply, just in your opinion, as one of our most seasoned nonprofit individuals in this community, what are some reasons that you think INAR is so valuable to have in our community?
So I'm going to say this. Their value just reaches more than just our community. And the data that they get and that Dr. Carpenter and her team pulls is not just Shreveport-Bossier. It's widespread. It's the state. Some things even cross over across the state. I was recently involved with the Bossier Chamber's Community Development Institute last year and was able to connect one of the people from over at Tech that does statisticians and stuff like that with Dr. Carpenter, because they were saying they're like, we need to get this data for economic development. And I was like, do you understand the impact and the economy of nonprofits? And he was like, no. And I was like, let me get you over to Dr. Carpenter. And she has just been able to shed the light, because y'all, our economy couldn't exist without our nonprofits and what the nonprofits and the fill gaps that they do across the board. And I think that's the real impact too of what they're doing within just some of the data and stuff like that, because they're really showing this what we do, and again across the state, not just here.
Educating people, building awareness around the importance of nonprofits.
Yeah, and the impact of them.
Right.
And then when you look at what the INAR specifically does with like the different cohorts and stuff, which that's been tremendous with the support of the different donors with that, is because, I mean, like you said, I thank you. You said I'm seasoned, but after COVID, whenever they offered the cohort, I applied to be a mentee because my fire was out. And I was very honest in my application. I was like, I need to be guided again. And I was very happy. I was very thankful that they saw that and everything, and they allowed me to be a mentee and kind of get rejuvenated a little bit. Because sometimes as an executive director, like you're the cheerleader for everybody, but it's like, who's your cheerleader? Who's kind of pulling you on? And I do have some good board that do that, but I have to answer to all of them. And being a federal and state nonprofit too, we're quasi-governmental, I have to answer to the governor's office. I have to answer to the federal level. And so sometimes it gets lonely up there. So really being able to come back in as a mentee and go through that cohort and just kind of relearn and even new things that kind of got introduced. We got introduced to AI, and I've been really loving that and making it help me better and stuff. So it's really awesome to see that part of this cohort with INR come through. And then what they do within the nonprofit program there and the interns and bringing new people into this industry, because, I've been with Council on Aging 15 years. I'm not even 50 yet, but people are retiring, and who's going to come in? And nonprofit is not a world a lot of people think about getting into. So it's great that they're training and educating the right way. I came from a corporate background. I did not know some of the stuff in nonprofit that I thought that I needed to know. I mean, I learned it. I wanted to learn it. So having that ability to have that going in is really awesome too.
Yeah, they're educating. Just so for people listening, you can get a bachelor or a master's in nonprofit through INAR at LSUS. They're educating through these cohorts. So to kind of explain to people what that is these cohorts are these time-based workshops where individuals in nonprofits, mentees are paired with mentors, more senior nonprofit professionals, to go through a series of different workshops and different learning opportunities. And it's been really powerful to see. And I think not only are you learning new things in the nonprofit space through INAR, but you're also exposed to new people.
Correct.
And so your network is growing, and you're able to lean on each other and leverage each other's information and each other's expertise. Mm-hmm. And so suddenly this very difficult, lonely journey becomes a lot less lonely.
Correct. Yeah, very much.
All right. Well, on June 16th of this year, I believe, very soon, today I lose track, but we're almost a week out. On June 16th, you'll be celebrating an incredible milestone, 50 years of the Council on Aging serving Bossier Parish.
Yes, that's our actual day of starting services. So it was really neat that we could find that actual date in our records. You know, we knew we came about in 1975, but after I did some digging, we saw our actual order of incorporation, and June 16th was our first day.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, talk to me about what some of the challenges are today that maybe did not exist when the Bossier Council on Aging first started supporting our seniors back in 1975.
Wow. So I'm going to say this. Obviously, I was not around, but they started with just 3 homemaker clients. That's how they started. And then as needs became aware, they grew, because it grew from homemaker to then some meals. Then they had a senior center, and then transportation. And then some things happen and some things go away because you gauge needs and everything like that. But I'm going to say the biggest way we have changed at Bossier Council on Aging is in our reporting. Like I said earlier, we are quasi-governmental. We are federally funded first. We are funded through the Older Americans Act that was created in 1965. That is where guidelines come that say this is 60 and older. Like that's not just a number we created. That's federal. And then it goes to the state level, and we are under the governor's office. So we have reporting standards we have to have. And that's something that wasn't there before. It was just like, yeah, give me the money and I did it. Well, now, you know, our budget's $1.2 million right about, and that's between all of our funding, including grants, donations, and everything. And so we have to keep up reports. We report every month to the governor. They send stuff off to the feds. I have to report annually to my municipalities like Bossier City and the police jury, because we get specific funding for them. So how we do this has really changed. Some of my staff call me Techie Tamara, but I saw when I got there 15 years ago, our staff, which some of us, my assistant has been with the Council on Aging over 25 years now.
Wow.
So of the 50, she's been there 25 and a half. And so they were trying to do everything. And literally, if somebody came in and needed to get a cat neutered, we're going to do it, you know? And I was like, no, we can't, but we can create partnerships. There's people that do these things. But we were also just the paper documentation, because we were having to document every single thing we did. So I started with them researching, where can we find ways that technology can better support us? So through some of the systems we're required to use, we added modules, you know, that now we don't have to, you know, go in and like literally count every single number. We can just put a number in and it goes. But one of the neatest things that we were the first in the state, and right now we're only one of, I think, 4. When you go into our senior centers, we have kiosks, and our seniors swipe a card, or they can use their phone number, and they do check in, and that immediately puts everything into our system. If they ate, if they're doing yoga, if they're, you know, whatever it is, it uploads. And that has saved our staff so much time to allow them to do the more one-on-one stuff that's needed. Because so many of our seniors still need that one-on-one of, I need to understand how to, you know, what is this application, or whether it's helping them with food stamps or Medicaid. And that stuff needs more one-on-one versus just trying to decipher signature and putting that unit on. Because our legislators, our governor, everybody I report to, they want to know, if I gave you $5,000 for meals, how many meals did you serve, you know? So that's really improved our efficiency and effectiveness on that. And that was not around in 1975. So that's a big thing.
Good for you. Yeah, and that can be so taxing and just so burdensome and really bogged down a nonprofit. So
yes.
Good for you to kind of figure out ways to make some of that less manual and more automated.
Yeah. One thing I'm looking for, and I'm just trying to research it some more, and I'm looking for possibly the right grant, is a way for our seniors to book their transportation via technology, kind of Uber, Lyft, but a pre-schedule, because like you can pre-schedule Uber and Lyft, because right now we've really realized the past 6-8 months, as more seniors are kind of, because our senior centers were closed for 2 years during COVID. We were open, but doing meals and home-based stuff and transportation. So when our senior centers reopened in the spring of 22, some seniors still want to remain at home. We're still doing telehealth, but a lot of medical care providers are stopping that option. We saw that in 24. They're like, no, we need to get you back in. We need to see you face to face. We can't just keep doing this virtually. And so our seniors, it's a lot for them to call and do this. So if we could figure out a way to technology-wise do some of that with transportation, that's going to be my next big push.
I love that. Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, Tamara. Well, for those in our community that are listening today, talk to me about different ways they can best help you achieve your mission moving forward.
So I'm going to say this. It's really spreading the awareness, because anytime I go talk, or even our outreach person, Miss Tanae, goes talks, they're like, oh, wow, I just didn't know you did so much. And any parish in Louisiana, I know y'all's outreach is a lot farther than just Shreveport-Bossier. Every parish in Louisiana has a council on aging that does something like what we do. And the other thing is, everywhere in the United States, there's an area agency on aging that's doing something like this. So as our seniors age, or as people age, because we know about baby boomers and we know how many people are aging in the fastest of that, there's somewhere that's there to help somebody 60 or older. And I'll say, doesn't mean we might not do it, but if there's a question and it regards somebody 60 or older, call that. Call the area agency on aging. Call the council on aging. Because if we don't do it, we know who does. And we can connect you and be that little hub to that next person that you need to get to and everything. Because, like I said earlier, it's not that we don't want to do it all, but we have to recognize what our mission is,
Sure.
what our vision is, and then what our funding abilities are. And so really keeping our focus on that, but raising awareness and connecting people, because sometimes there's that taboo. When I started 15 years ago, is the councils on aging is for those poor people. And that is not it at all. There's not an income level to have to come hang out at our senior centers. There's not, it's not male, female. It's none of this. It's just 60 and older and come. So, we want to break those barriers a little bit too. Sometimes people come and they start out with well, I'm 60, but I really don't want your services. I want to volunteer. That's great. Come volunteer. I've got people who do crafts, who lead exercise, and that's fine. That's where you want to be and stuff. You're still a senior with us, but you want to help and keep giving back. And that's really awesome.
And you guys are a 501c3, is that right?
We are. We're a full 501c3, yeah.
And y'all participate in things like Give for Good, or you're set up on your website to accept donations for people listening who...
Yeah, so we are. We do Give for Good annually. We also have on our platform, I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's a platform I have found recently and I love. It's called Zeffy. And now you get to keep 100% of your donations. So we have recently... ZEFFY.
Okay, I don't know it.
So for any nonprofits out there, it is whenever people go to make a donation, let's say they give $10, they have an option to cover the fees. And even if they don't, you still get your full $10. So that's been really nice. We've only been using it for a couple of months and we've already seen an increase in that part because we're not having to pay those other fees and stuff. So our website has that ability as well and stuff. So yeah.
So aside from maybe funding gaps or funding challenges, aside from maybe bandwidth challenges of wanting to do everything but not being able to do everything, or transportation challenges, trying to make all of that run more efficiently or more fluidly, are there any other areas that you really grapple with on a daily basis?
So you want the honest truth?
Well, sure.
Right now it's staffing, man.
Okay. Yeah.
It is staffing. I have a position that's been open since January. And people think at nonprofits, oh, well, you're not going to get paid. Like, no, we're trying to pay, competitive wages and everything.
What kind of position is it?
So it is, we call it the wellness director. And I had to do a little rethinking about that because I was like, I think the first time we put that out there, people thought it was a nurse because I started getting quite a few nurses calling. And I'm like, why am I getting all these nurses? But it's the person that's over our 3 sites and our home delivered meal program. So they're the wellness. They're over the meals, the sites where all that exercise and everything goes. But it's not a hard position. A lot of our staff do work part-time because we see that some people don't want to work full-time. But for full-time for us is only 32 hours. So you can work anywhere from 32 to 38. So, but yeah, that position, a transportation director position has been open. We have actually filled all of our, frontline positions. So that's really amazing. So, and then we did actually this summer, I think we just filled our last one. because we had funding available, because these positions haven't been filled, I was like, I need to make sure I spend this. We offered a summer intern program for high school graduates, and I think we just offered the last one this week. So getting some high school graduates, maybe college students, one of them is a college student at Dillard, to come in, and they're going to work with the site managers as an assistant. And one of them's also even going to work in the afternoons because she really wants to learn like also some behind the scenes stuff and really learn the nonprofit side of some stuff too. So, but yeah, staffing with some of these things has been hard.
Yeah, I think that's great for people to hear. And
Yeah.
I would think many nonprofits in our community and nationwide struggle with the exact same thing.
Yeah, yeah. And don't think that you're not going to get paid. We offer benefits. We have some perks. And my assistant Carletta says all the time, we're probably the most flexible organization you're ever going to work with. Like I said, I have a special needs son. Carletta has a special needs son. Like, we understand. When I was in the corporate world, like, it seemed like the mantra was leave your personal life at the door. And I'm like, that cannot happen. Like, whatever's going to come over into your work. But if we can allow our team to handle their personal life, then when they come to work, they can focus on it. Then we can get more done. So
Couldn't agree more. And that's so important.
Yeah.
Well, Tamara, those are my set questions today. Like I told you before we started, anything that I didn't hit on that is important to you, please, by all means, feel free to get into.
So I think one of the questions we get asked often right now, because 2 years ago was Bossier City allocated $4 million for us for a building.
Yeah.
People go, what's going on? Where are you getting the building? I spoke at the Lions Club recently, and they're like, so where are you going? And the thing,
let me stop you one second. So today, you guys, your main office is in East Bank.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Right down from Bossier High School.
And you've been there a long time.
Long time, for I know at least 30 something years. We've been in that building. So.
And there's been talk for a long time for you guys to get a new building, right?
Yeah. I came on the Council on Aging in 2010, and the previous director met with Mayor Walker in 2007. And that's when discussion started, was in 2007. So almost 20 years ago. But the City Council, Bossier, did make the commitment and allocated $4 million right a little over 2 years ago. And we've just been kind of going, where's the right place? Where should we go? Looking at our current needs and also how needs are going to evolve. We want to make sure we're accessible, both location. Is it a place that our seniors are going to go? Because a lot of our seniors do drive. Is it a place that our seniors are going to feel safe? Can we, get there? Is it going to be central? I think we all have agreed that we want to be central located.
Which, on that point, I just want to make it clear to people, when people hear Caddo Council on Aging, we've already kind of talked about, Bossier Council on Aging, it's the parish of Bossier, not the city of Bossier.
That is right.
It's a vast geographic area, and it's key and critical that the Bossier Council on Aging be centrally located for the entire parish.
That is correct, yeah. And one really weird thing, because somebody asked me that one time, they said, well, why are you in Bossier and not Benton? Benton's the parish seat. Under the governor's office, they dictate or direct that your main senior center must be in your highest populated town. So for us, it's always going to be Bossier. I don't know. I don't want to say always. Benton's booming.
It is.
Maybe. We might shift. But anyways. But even central within Bossier City, because Bossier City, I'm a Bossier girl. My son graduated Parkway, so we're South Bossier. There's a really wide dynamic of Nobo and Sobo. So, but centrally located in Bossier City is where we feel we could do the most, because a lot of it has to do with that transportation component too. And if we're getting people to the senior center, how we can hub out and everything. So it's in discussions. I can only say that, hopefully we will have some movement probably by the end of this year. Fingers crossed.
Great.
Our board has definitely been very active in trying to find locations, present locations, and making sure we can, work with the administration over the city council and the mayor to go, let's do the best for the citizens of Bossier. And it's not just Bossier City. It's, like you said, the parish. So, yeah.
Anything else aside from the building? Anything else that we didn't hit on that
I would just
people should know?
say that, to reiterate, if there's a senior that connect them to a council on aging. If you're a family member or a loved one or a neighbor, like I'm fixing to head to church, a church member, connect them, because the councils on aging all across our areas do such great work. And it's just amazing the little treasures you will find at your council on aging and the connections that you will find. That's a great tagline. I might need to take that. Connections with the council on aging. But yeah, just getting people connected with their council on aging so that they can be supported. And like you said earlier, and live independently with dignity, because that's what we're all trying to do, really.
And I mean, one thing I can add on to there, I mean, just that I've learned through my work at the Y is just how important as we age, just being connected with one another is, and just having that social outlet. I mean, for many of our members at the Y, it's as much about that as it is the workout or the physical aspect. We have these lobbies where people that's their friend group. That's their social outlet, just hanging out before or after a workout and just catching up with one another. Well, and that really, I think, adds years to our members' lives, and just certainly is a major component of their quality of life.
That's right. And like, I love how the Y over BHPY, y'all have the little cafe area and stuff. And that's the thing. Sometimes it's just going somewhere where somebody knows you. They ask about you. If you didn't show up, hey, we missed you, and those little small connections, because we're social beings. And I'm not trying to be, real stereotypical, but I think in the South, we're a lot more social beings. We always want to put everything around a food, or let's get together, which is why we love having our lunches and everything. But yeah, just having that social connection and having some place to go and belong.
Yeah, absolutely. Tamara, I'm a huge fan of the work you do, and I'm so glad we had the opportunity today just to educate people and make them a little more aware. So thanks for being here. And
yeah.
Keep going, because we need you and all the great services that Bossier Council on Aging provides.
No problem. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Absolutely.